refer to it. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our last meeting for the semester. After the break, of course, this will be our last meeting. We are going to mop up and then prepare ourselves for the exam, which will be all essays. I don't intend to give a compulsory. When I say I speak for the team, the two of us that are teaching. It's just I'm used to teaching alone. So sometimes it comes across as I, but obviously I didn't do all the topics with you alone. So when I say I, let me just say the preamble, the tone. We speak for the teaching team. Okay. So I'm saying that the intention is not to give any multiple choice or short answers in your final exam, which is worth 70 marks. No, we're going to do all essays, and I'm sure you are, you know that. So I'm projecting currently your course outline, which we set off with. You know all these details. So the course description, the goals, objectives, the method of instruction. Now, the assessment and grading is what is being projected now. 70% of your total in the course for exam, and then the 30% for continuous assessment. The continuous assessment had a mid-sem test mark of 20, and then other assessments were to be worked out of 10. You see that? So you did some group work +5, +1, presentations, what have you. Whilst they helped you get better at the content, they also prepared you for exam, and more importantly for you, the student, they gave you some marks. So compute the 10% from that, 20% from your IE, and then your final exam is over 70. And I keep telling students when I'm grading essays, the 2.5 hours we'll give you for your final exam may not, all for all the times, may not be a good measuring point. So that is why your continuous engagement in the course plays a role in how we are assessing you for the over 70. And so just so that you know, don't go and sit at the exam hall and go and write some, something funny and say that, oh, after all, doc says that. Please, when I mute or don't unmute, okay? Sometimes it's not intentional, but I'm prompting. Just be guided so that you don't unmute yourself. We can hear you. You may sell out something important. Just keep it muted like that. Okay, so I'm saying that go and give it all your best at the exam hall because it counts for 70. How the assessor will compute your 70, let the assessor be the one to worry about that. That's why the assessor is the assessor and you are the student. See that? So that is just a reminder for you on your course outline, 70%. The policy on plagiarism is clear. You know your grading skill. I'm projecting now. Please look. We give you some reading lists to refer to, and then the substantive content. We did an introductory of the course outline. We saw our course syllabus. We saw the readings. We even compiled some few for you, like the free will determinism one day. One very exciting time we had in class during the last session. I really enjoyed myself for both campuses, main and city, and for both groups. It was awesome. The one on morality and this practical session we had where people had to engage and show us what they would have done at the pharmacy, or the galamsey man who was taking care of us, or the informed consent one. I'm sure you all were impressed with yourself. It was very good, very, very good. So keep it up. We saw that. And so week 1, we went through all that the course is about. Then week 2, we engaged the mind-body problem because we already have a lot of background from level 100 in philosophy, where we did philosophical questions, epistemology, metaphysics, even a little bit of Descartes, a little bit of Plato, and so on. So it's some firm grounding in philosophy from level 100. Level 200 now focused on the problematic issues, the questions that are philosophically interesting because they seem not to go away. One of them is the mind-body problem. I won't say anything about it again. even the revision of the IE, the feedback on the IE is a whole lecture. So too many, how do you say it? Too much fish spoil the broth, eh? And namdodo, we say that and namdodo and zenkwan, too much fish doesn't spoil the soup. Others say when there is too much, no, I think it is something else. But when you overhaul me, so I don't want to do any other. Bring that in. It is disturbing me. Come fast. Why? Bring it closer, please. The reception there is no good. Fast. All right. Please, can you hear me? I'm working on clear reception
please.
for you. Okay. Someone was. I gave the little girl a talk.
Yeah.
You. All right. So I was saying that when we have too many content or too much content, we keep adding on the same subject matter. Then you will have to play the recording and go back to the slide. It becomes overwhelming. I don't think you need any additional information on mind-body problem, the sources of the problem or the source of the problem, the responses given, and then how that generates idealism, as you see on your screen. Then we went on to the problem of reality versus appearance after we dealt with the various versions of idealism, the subjective idealist versus the objective idealist, and what makes a view idealist, and whether it is a defensible philosophical view at all, or it might create problems if you impose your knowledge of something onto the thing's reality. One is a question of epistemology, the other is a question of reality. We said all that. And that then helped us see what Russell's point was when he engaged his reality versus appearance. Whether what is experienced of a sensory object is the same as what is there. The lady says it is smooth. The couch is smooth because she feels it to be smooth. The attendant says, no, it is not smooth, or vice versa. Is it a problem that can be overcome? Russell says we have to speak knowledge, if it is knowledge we are talking about, but not to impose knowledge onto reality and say we see him to be this, therefore he is that. All that we know. I just did a revision of that, which is the 400s. We're talking about something on Kant, but I think Russell's input was very useful. So I engaged them on that, and you are blessed to have it. Then we went to our presentations on Russell, the group presentations. And then the next topic was free will versus determinism. Let me see if there is a hand up. If you have any concern, because all what I'm saying you know already, is just because of the chicken and the beef and sausages that you're going to eat during the Christmas. Those who do the latu, maybe you're taking a lot of last, so it has bled your vision. I want to shake you up a bit and prepare you. That's all. But there is nothing that I'm saying that you didn't already know. So if you have a question on pedagogy, on exam formats, on assignment, group work, something like that, you can raise your hand. I will stop and attend to it. So we saw the free will versus determinism discussion and how that can be reconciled with moral responsibility. After that, we saw the problem of the self. That's John Locke on consciousness, self-consciousness, and memory as definition of the personhood or the self and the challenges that could bring, and why he wouldn't support the bodily view, if you like, and why he would deviate, or if you like, diverge from Descartes' view of epistemology and all that. So you revise your notes on that. The account concept of a person was the next topic, the Jechi one. Okra sunsum. Okra sunsum. And how they are two in one and yet three in one, however you want to define it. Jechi himself thinks that it is a dualist view of personhood, physical versus non-physical, or material versus immaterial, except that the immaterial is itself twofold. The sunsum versus okra. as the immaterial part. Now you know how the relationship between the two can be seen to be ontological and not necessarily functional. If I ask you that, you should be able to answer. It's ontology, being, what they are. Maybe, okay, I want to answer that. Go through the slides and find out if you think they are the same. Emmanuel, you are disturbing me. I'm in a class. Oh, folks, I'm sorry. So the immaterial part itself being twofold. And the concern is how for the two to function differently, even though their being is one. You have to see that one very well. Let me ask you a question there. Okay. Ontologically, they seem to be what? One. Their being is one, and yet how they function is different. Are they ontologically the same or functionally the same or not? I want you to go and play. So I'm not giving you a straightforward response. I want you to think around that. Which part of the immaterial self dreams? Okay, for instance, which one do we lay moral attributes to or ascribe moral attributes to? They are all immaterial parts of the person. When we say you are, we in the papa, you are a good person in a can thought or even in Western, we are not describing your hand is good or your leg. Your leg is good for attending the party, or your hand is good for giving money. It's not your hand, it is you. It's the person you that is described as a good person. But what part of you receives that accolade of being good? You know, Jechi's argument is there's a part of the immaterial you. It's not your honam, it's not the physical you that is seen as we only papa. Oh, this lecturer is really a good person, or this brother. Oh, this whatever is good. This moral attribute. Oh, you only papa is not to the honam, but it is to a part of the person. I won't tell you that too because you already know. If you don't know, then you go to the slides and reference the content that we did. Some of them were recorded, so you can play them back. Okay, those are useful for you. That's the current concept of a person. Then the problem of knowledge versus certainty. I went through them with you in class. Knowing is not necessarily the same as being. I can know things that I'm not certain of, at least from the viewpoint of Kant. That is all that we required you to know at this level. So when are we certainty? And how is certainty established, if established at all? So remember Kant's distinction between analytic, synthetic, a priori, a posteriori kinds of statements and parts of knowing. And then if you know that, it can help you answer the questions around certainty. Are there certain claims that we know for certain? How do we establish the certainty of such claims? If I said the bachelor living next door to me has beaten his wife mercilessly, you can tell that you know for certain that this is false. What I just said. That the bachelor living next door has beaten his own wife mercilessly. The wife's teeth have all come out. I mean, she has swollen cheeks. Her eyes are bulging out. Which wife? The wife of the bachelor living next door. This is certainly false, certainly. And it is because of the language, by analysis. So you have to remember all those examples I gave in class. By analyzing, that means by looking at the very statement, the subject and the predicate. So remember analytic statement. There's just a repetition of the subject in the predicate of that statement. We are not saying anything new. If you say a bachelor is an unmarried adult male, you didn't give me any information. You just repeated yourself. By the logical structure, by definitions of terms, by meanings, we are able to tell the truth or falsity. with certainty, with a priori certainty. So what is the meaning of a priori? Prior to experience. See that before I use my senses, either before I saw, before I touched, before I tasted, before I smelled, before what's the other one? Heard. These 5 outlets. Before I used any of them, I already know. If you tell me, oh, Ghana got independence 1957, this statement is not known a priori. Why? Because you either heard it, you read it, you were there when it happened, so it is experience that gives you that. But so that is not an analytic statement. The predicate is not repeating any subject. It is a synthetic statement, meaning what? So I introduced analytic, this is synthetic. For synthetic statement, excuse me, you are not repeating the subject in the predicate. A sister is a female sibling. That is necessarily true. Because the meaning of sister is what I have repeated. A barking dog barks. A barking dog barks. That is a repetition. If it is a barking dog, what should you do? It will bark. A barking table barks. That is necessarily true because you called it what? A barking table. At the end of your year, so barking. Me, I don't know if you're J bark or the thing barks by your own definition of the thing. You say it is a barking table. If it's a barking table, then it will bark. So when you say a barking table barks, you just gave us an analytically true statement. We don't need observation to establish its truth or falsity. It is in the language, analytic. And so with such explanations, Kant shows us, when you advance, you will learn more around that. But Kant shows us that analytic truths have what? A priori necessity. And if you like, universality. Maybe the universality can be questioned later because it's not all the time that when we use the word bachelor, we mean an unmarried man. Sometimes we mean a degree that you earn in the university at first entrance. So let's talk only about necessity for now. Okay, it is necessarily true prior to experience. Analytic statement. Synthetic statements are not like that. Then, because we want to establish certainty of certainty, we went further to look at a priori versus what? A posteriori. And so those are the terminologies that Kant brings in to help us distinguish knowledge from certainty. And so I've shown you the extent to which we can be certain about certain knowledge claims. And then for others, if I say I know who is speaking outside there, my brother or sister, that cannot be a certainty. You may think it is Dr. Miles. You may go out there and it is Jean and Akisi, or your class rep, or Vera, or someone. You see that? So I know language based. No, it's not true or false by definitions. No. The predicate is not repeating the subject. No. So that's how I distinguish analytic from synthetic. Then a priori from a posteriori. Now the interesting philosophical question for that philosophical problem that we haven't navigated at all, you may meet it again in level 300 if you were to do rationalism, is what? This. If it is analytic, the statement is an analytic one, and you call it or you describe it as a priori, we don't have an issue. Because we know it prior to, I don't need to see to know that you cannot say a bachelor is beating his wife, his own wife. If he's a bachelor, he cannot beat his wife. You say, oh, come and see what I'm telling you. I don't need to see. In my office, away from your home, 10 kilometers away from where I'm seated, if you come to my office and tell me the bachelor living next door to you, your home, or to you, has beaten his own wife, I won't believe you. It's already false what you said. And it is certainly false. Why? Because you said bachelor. And if he's a bachelor, he cannot beat his wife. Not in this earth, not in the world. So there's a certain degree of certainty associated with my claim that what you said is false. See that? However, if you had told me that The bachelor living next door to your house is the thief that came by my office the last time. That is not something I can establish with certainty. No matter the evidence you bring, I may know it, but may not be certain. So we are saying that if it is an analytic truth, there's a certain degree of certainty we can associate to that knowledge, what you know. Okay. But when we have synthetic truth, it seems that it is always contingent. It depends. So it's sometimes true, sometimes false. It is raining right now at Legon. Moment ago, it was true. Right now, as we speak, it's not true. At my home, moment ago, it's true that it was raining. As I speak with you now, it is not true. The same statement. The next minute, it could be true again. Why? Because I said it is raining. It is raining is not a definition. It's not true or false by definition, by meanings of terms or biological structure. No, it's contingent upon. Why? The state of affairs out there. Why? Because I'm not dealing with a language truth, linguistic truth. See, I'm not repeating a subject in a predicate. I am giving you information about actual existence, and therefore, the state of affairs out there will influence the truth or falsity of this statement. Based on what is out there, what I'm saying may be true or may be false. So synthetic statements are seemingly known what a posteriori, prior to experience. Excuse me, posterior to experience. After you experience, after you use your five senses, then you know that's synthetic. Then analytic statement is a priori. Before, prior to experience, you already knew. Okay, that is what the categorization had been in epistemology until Kant comes in and makes a case in defense of what the rationalists had already proposed, that it is possible for us to have a synthetic truth that is known with what a priori certainty, and that is what creates the problem of knowledge proper. How can the thing be synthetic? It means informative about the actual world there, and yet it has what a priori necessity to it. If it is synthetic, then it should be dependent, so contingent upon how the world is. Okay? If it is analytic, that is the one we said earlier, then it is either always true, tautology, or always false, contradiction. A bachelor has beaten his own wife. This will always be false, no matter the world we are dealing with, on earth, in heaven, or hell. If the person is a bachelor, he cannot beat his wife, his own wife. It is not possible because of the meaning of bachelor. What we mean by bachelor is what? An unmarried adult male. Okay. Someone will say, Doc, what if we change the meanings? Then you are not dealing with bachelor as we mean it. We are speaking now. So when you advance modern analytic or something, you see the way the analytic synthetic criterion has been, merged again. For now, we are looking at analytic. What do we mean by bachelor? Bachelor is an unmarried adult male. See that? If so, then how can bachelor, as we made it, be what? Be beating his wife? It can't happen unless you change the meaning of bachelor. If you change the meaning of bachelor, whatever meaning you give to that thing, that word is what we will focus on again. The point then is it has an a priori necessity associated with it. Always true if you say a bachelor is an unmarried adult male. That's always true. And always false if you say a bachelor has beaten his own wife or a bachelor is a married adult male. That will always be false. Always means necessarily the case. But if I say a bachelor is eating fufu under at the hall right now, that is not always true. The person eating the fufu this minute may be a bachelor. The next 1 week or 2 weeks may be a married man eating fufu. So that statement doesn't have any necessity of a priorness. Okay. And that's all we mean when we say, see, analytic statements are the ones that have necessity. That is always true to be called tautology, or always false to be called contradiction. But when you have a synthetic statement, it is not always anything. It's not a necessary truth. That's the point we are making. How then do we now come and make a case? This is Kant now saying we can have synthetic truths that we know with what a priori certainty. That is the philosophical problem that is interesting and we introduced you to it for level 200. Okay. Then the problem of the community versus the individual, that one is straightforward. Are we members of a community or we are individuals? The pessimist argument from Miles, which the link is the one you see there, says that human beings are not individuals and they are not communities, they are persons. Person is a blend of individuality and communality all into one. The individual, cassava, the community, plantain, a human person, fufu. Those who understand that. So you pounded the cassava and plantain together into a dumpling, a mold, such that you can't pull out the plantain and you can't pull out the cassava any longer. It has become a new, if you don't like the fufu one, because maybe you are not conversant, let's use cake. So there's flour and there's sugar. Take it that there are only two components. Or egg and sugar and whatever, put together and mixed thoroughly and baked into a mold. What you have now is not sugar and it is not flour, but it is sugar and it is flour. You see that? Because you can never get the flour, the white powdery substance that you started with. You won't get it again. And you can't get the sugar. But what you are eating to is flour and sugar. That is person. A person is a complex blend, says Miles, of what? Individuality. Not an individual. She's not an individual. She's a person, a blend of what? Individuality and communality. Different levels of interrelatedness is what communality is. So that lady sitting there in your class next to you is a female. She's a daughter. Let's say she's a fancy or girl or something. She's academic. She's a Christian. She's a philosopher or classicist. You see, all of those are a relationality. She's related in all these ways. Take me, your lecturer. I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a lecturer. I do kingdom work. I mentor some, I'm a mentee as well. Now the point is, depending on which time and place I'm in, a part of me is at work. But whilst one part of me is working, the other part is not detached. That's what I'm trying to explain. The difficulty and the challenge is when you deal with people as if they are an individual. So all you are seeing is the student sitting in front of you. What about the mother in her at that same time? So for instance, let's see some practical implications. The person is Muslim. She's a female. She's a mother. Maybe she's even a queen mother or something in her hometown. All blended together and a student sitting in front of you. If you deal with people as persons, it allows you to incorporate the various aspects of their being. They are communally related. And it's not the community. So that also goes against communitarianism. Those who argue as if it is this particular community that defines your being. It's not a particular community. Look at the Brofo we are speaking. We do inherit with Prince Charles, King Charles now. He's English. Are you English? Look at the English we are speaking here, like that. If we spoke in Twi or Ga or Bush or something, how people will understand this lecture here? Here we are speaking Brofo, Latin, eating Chinese, wearing whatever, jalabia, I would say jalabia. You see, a complex blend of cultural belongingness. It's not a particular culture or the particular anything. Plus our individuality. So the pessimist argument is instead of thinking of the community versus the individual, these are wrong categories, wrong reference points. Human beings belong to a complex blend of what? Communality. It's a relational thing. So if you call Christians, you will call me. If you call mothers, you will call me. If you call sisters, you will call me as well. Look at the different communities, or if you like, communal ties that I'm sharing now. If you call Lagonites, I'll be there. If you call Ghanaians, I'm there. The next minute you call West Africans, I'm there. If you call human beings, we are all together, whether black, white, green, or yellow, against the animals. And if you call living things, they will join us. Different levels of relating. This is the point we are making. That is what you should defend. Why? Because communality plus, there goes the next one. The next part of it is not an individuality. So I'm unique. I have my choices. I am autonomous. These are aspects of a person that are what private to her. It is not shared. Communality is shared. So if you go philosophy and classes today, maybe all of you be there. But the next minute, amongst the philosophy and classes today, maybe if we call charismatic Christians, some may not join. That's another level of relatedness. And maybe if we call level 100 students or philosophy and classes, it will reduce. You have to get that. If we call arcans, maybe enzimas and fantis and Kuyapims and Akwemu and all come. However, if you call Asante, perhaps it will reduce. And then within Asante, if you call Adanse or what's the other one, give me their or Yoko or something, it will keep reducing. Why? Different levels of belongingness. Women in academia, maybe you called women, they all come. But if you start talking academia, it will reduce to another group. And then even within women of academia, if you talk those who are doing humanities and the sciences, they might differ. That is why you can't restrict a person's communal belonging to one. One thing, say, we are gas, we are fantasy, we are this. You don't understand a person. Personhood is more complex. That's why I gave you the cake scenario. I gave the fufu scenario. You, as you are seated, you are at once your father's son, whether you like it or yes, biology. You are a product of your upbringing, wherever you grew up. Yes. Do you know why you don't see anything wrong with that starch in a bowl with water on it? Green color. You call it fufu and ebunebuno. You know why you don't see anything wrong with it? Eba and egusi. That's starch. That's starch and green, something tina, how do you say tina in English? Go and ask me a comment. Tina, like flame. Hurry up. I've forgotten the broth. Listen, that is what the person who doesn't eat our banku and okra stew or your eba and my Nigerian friends, give me the green, the one that has the slimy. Bye, it's okay. Slimy thing in it. They don't see how on earth will anybody eat this? This is crazy. You don't see anything wrong with it because that is what slimy, he said, right? Thank you. I'll take you. Don't see anything wrong with it because you have been cultured to see it as food. So if you see someone eating rat or monkey hand or dog meat, the way you will approach it is because you are not cultured that all that you have been groomed by that. A person is very complex. So Mr. Boss, when you employ someone and you are setting your rules and regulations, look, all of you must report us. So remember where you have a maternity woman, or for example, you have I like to use the Muslim one because of the hijab. You don't say here we don't cover our hair. You say, Madam, Wafa, you are not dealing with an individual. You are dealing with a person. If she's a queen mother, she cannot eat in public. Don't come and tell her that you are the PR. You have to taste the food, and she doesn't eat in public. Wafa, understand it's part of her person. Personhood is more complex. That will help us. Remember the Achimota in Ghana, those who are Ghanaians, I mean, most of us are Ghanaians now. Okay, the Achimota school, the gentleman, the Rastafarian brother, he came out with all A's, I heard it on all A's, yes. What's the bravo? A blasty result. A with his Rasta. When he was ending, I'm not making a judgment of anything. I could tell that discussion was a communitarianism, individualism debate. Achimota being a community that has its way of doing things. Our brother, I've forgotten the name, if you remember, you can unmute and tell me, our brother and the family belonging to a community, but the brother having his individuality. So that was the contention. It was a contention of individuality versus communality. My faith, my choice, my uniqueness, and yet my sense of belonging to a community called Achimota School. Why didn't I go to whichever school? I don't want to mention it, any school, but I went there. There's something I want to be part of. Sharedness, and yet I still had my uniqueness that I didn't want to let go. So who is going to give in for who? Everybody felt they were right. We thank God that later on there was a certain consensual approach to dealing with it. The gentleman went with his rasta. I'm sure he would have been given some rules, please, because I could also enter the lecture hall and say my fate and my uniqueness is that I don't sit down when there's exam going on. I stand and walk around. So don't infringe on my faith. What will we do at the exam hall? If my faith tells me that a woman must not cover up anywhere, you have to flaunt what the Lord gave and walk around doing exam and show nature. So respect my individuality. Offer. When they say start work, sister is walking around the lecture hall. Bobby standing everywhere, mountains and grass cutter area and what have you. How do we live in society? You see what I'm doing now? I'm showing you why communality is not also something you can just subvert and give away. If I'm in my room alone, I can play my individuality, my uniqueness, my choice, whatever. It's my choice to play the music loud, after all. I have a right to play a music that I worked hard to buy the radio for. Oh, sir, someone also has a right to burn rubbish in their own compound that they paid for at 12 midnight. When your asthmatic child is sleeping and can't sleep, you see, if we are all pursuing right, without a commensurate regard for communality, the other person. So I'm feeling hot as your lecturer, maybe, and I've entered the lecture hall and I'm sweating all over and I have a right to feel free. But will I take off my clothing and in my undies come at the front and say, okay, today we are learning Ortega's man has no. Are you sure you hear Ortega? Or you watch and observe and watch? I have to respect. I have to respect communality, the shared space. Why? Because human persons are both communal and what individual. They have individuality and communality all at once. They don't choose any of them. They are it. Your being is an intertwine of what individuality and communality. I'll ask you questions there. None of which you can give away. So Jechi's paper started with what? The categorizations of what the individual, the community, and the whole discussion was about that. Miles's pessimism goes a bit further to argue that there is a certain fundamental error in how we are categorizing the starting point. We are calling the human person the individual and treating the human person as if she's individual, right bearing, uniqueness, autonomy, that's all. And we think that she's situated in one community that we must protect. So maybe Ghana or Fante or Ghana or something. The point is, it's not true, says Miles. When we deal with a person, we are dealing with a complex blend of individuality, so uniqueness, autonomy. I said all that, freedoms, choices. I want to eat fried rice. You say you should eat mango. I want to chew granite. You say no. Why? Is it your teeth? I'm going to marry someone. You say no. We don't want this kind of a woman in our home to marry. You and who are going to marry her? So you see how I've turned it over now, and I'm on the communalist. That is why it cannot be communitarian approach to dealing with social and political philosophy matters. Neither, says Miles, should it be individualist or individualism. But Miles proposes a personalist approach. What is that one? The one that looks at the concrete human being sitting there and addresses her as a being with both individual aspects and communal aspects, none of which he or she chooses, and both of which must be recognized and allowed to thrive. That is where the real tension is. So I end with this. If I let home as a mother, I think I said all that in class, and I go and exercise my right, my individual right to self-expression, go and change my face, do some caricature and change my face to that of a tiger, not for some project or something that will end me anything or temporarily or some fan filled something. But I really go and change because I'm expressing my freedom of choice, which is an individual right, individuality, right having to do with my uniqueness. Okay. I change my face to tiger. Whilst I'm doing that, I must immediately recognize that I'm not just an individual. I'm also a communal being. So I'm a person. I owe people a responsibility. My children have a right to their mother, and I'm the one. They didn't tell their mother that when you are coming back from work, be a tiger. They are not waiting for a tiger. So they come, mom, they open the door and a tiger comes out of the car. Because I went to express my rights. Rights and responsibilities are two sides of the same coin. When you throw the coin up and you see the head, just underneath that is the tail, and vice versa. So the same strength with which we shout individual rights, individual entitlement, right, is their right, let them be, is the same strength that we should use to shout. That is a responsibility you owe to society. You are your mother's son. You are Ghana, a product of Ghana. You are a human being. Treat other human beings as human because you belong together. If we do that, then the effort at trying to find a philosophy that is more productive will be geared towards how we reconcile the two. Where do we put maternity leave for women? How do we advance the cause of non-human, animals that we live with? Why? Because we live a shared life. How do we care for the tree? Who will give us oxygen whilst they take carbon dioxide from us? You see, we will transfer that to the other beings, other human beings like ourselves, and even other beings that we share life with. But when we think that the whole thing is about me, myself, and I, in the name of the individual, that is when we create the problem. No human being is an atom who just appeared. No, every human being is born into human habitation with language, with a civilization, with an epoch, a system that is running that defines what food is, what right and wrong is, and what a right and wrong is, what it means to dress up, how do you greet, the rights that you are professing. It's a society, a running, functioning, active, surviving society that defines those rights for you. If you have a right to go to school, it is a responsibility on someone to discharge that. That is why your right is meaningful. There's no right without a commensurate responsibility. If you do social and political philosophy, you see most of the things I've said from Charles Taylor, not the Liberian president. Charles Taylor, a social and political philosopher, a Canadian, I think, who writes from such a liberal tone. People label him as a communitarian. He's not. He says he's reconciling individualism and communitarianism. Miles says that talk well so that the problems will go down. Pessimism. And then the last one was on morality. We won't ask you questions on morality for the exam. Because we did a lot of that in level 100. We did a practical session on that as well to give you a firm grounding. Your essay questions, 5 in all, you will answer 2 from the first session and 1 from this last session. In other words, in all, you will answer. Hey, I hope people can hear me. Okay. The way the class is so organized and so quiet listening, is it the pressure of exam? Or the chickens are still in the throat? Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Oh, then that's fine. It's very impressive. Hey, the whole class is quiet. Pasa. Yeah, Jacqueline, you are laughing. It's the pressure. People don't want to talk, so that all their poor will come out. Very good. I'm rounding off nicely. Now listen. Listen. So you will have 2 sections, section A and section B, only because of the mark allocations and the demand of the question. So this is it. Section A will have 3 questions. You will choose any 2. Section B will have 2 questions. You will choose any 1. So in all, you will have 5 questions and you will choose any 3. The section A questions will be worth 25 marks each. So if you choose 2 from there, that will be 50 marks. Section B will have 2 questions worth 20 marks each. If you choose 1 pair from there, that will be 20. That you will add to the 50 from the first section to make 70. any question. Don't punch anything. Don't know how one should. I can ask you 3 in 1 topic. You see that the question is addressing about 2, 3, or 4 topics all put together. Very simple. But if you haven't read it, you will know that I'm asking you something about mind-body problem, idealism, Jechi's account concept of purpose, and Locke's consciousness, something all blended. If you go and punch that, the way they say 5 topics, they may I will learn this one. By all means, any topic will come. You don't know which one will come. So study all the topic and get a good foundation in the course. And when you finish, then you answer the one that you are able to answer. All right. Do you have any questions? If not, then I wish you well. I wish you the very best in the exams as you prepare to write. Thank you, Annie. I saw the club. As you prepare for your exam, go confidently, Jacqueline, and all. Be very confident in what you are able to discharge. There is no point beating about the bush. You're writing the booze. You know, the brightness of this day has given me the opportunity to. No. Don't do that. Philosophers are elegant. Simplicity. Class. Class. I laugh exactly. People write big, they want to impress. No. Philosophy. What you are going to see in a lab, the philosopher is wearing a critical eye to read it. So there is no need going to write why. I think I have to update my mentoring platform. Go and write winding some long statement from line 1 to about line 5. You are still writing, no comma, no full stop, nothing. When will we finish reading to interrogate each line? Very simple, crisp, elegant, concise statements. Straight to the point. If we ask you to critically analyze, it means you critically analyze. Analysis means break it down, open it out, teach us, so to speak. You know, just open it out. So not just explain, but show what the implications of what you said are the consequence. It will lead to this. It doesn't mean that, but it could also mean this. And if it means that, then it won't lead to that. However, if it is this, then it could. You know, that's analysis. You do it critically. Look at the positives and the negatives. Then, oftentimes for your levels, I like to say, give examples or illustrations to make the point you are making. That is so crucial. It helps us to take the thing from abstraction to concreteness so that others who haven't gone through all the philosophical thing can still assess the context. So do that. Check your time very well. I would propose 2.5. When we go for moderation, I don't know what colleagues will say. 2.5 hours. Don't have time given to you profitably. Don't go write half a page, and come and say you have answered the question. We are not joking for 70 marks. So word to the wise is enough. And I think if you put those in, you should do fine. I already communicated in class to you how we grade your interim assessment and your final exam. So I am done now. Unless there's any question for both groups, Monday and Tuesday. Do you have any question? I'm still on your platform Zoom till you are about to write exams, then I'll block it. Do you have any question? Still holding on well. Just keep him in your prayers. And I don't know if it's ethical to, but I know that he does the final send off 27th of January. We'll be writing exams then, so it's not too clear to me if it is appropriate to, but we'll see, to ask students who, then I don't think that he might even want that, but we will see. I wish you well. All the best and take care.